I did know both Stephen Sotloff and James Foley. Um, I didn't know them very well. Sotloff I had discussed working in Syria with, and I knew them because there wasn't a very large community of foreign journalists, American journalists, going in to Syria from Turkey. Both Foley and Sotloff made their way into the hands of the Islamic State and were obviously used for propaganda value, and that's a risk that I think most of the journalists, I think all of the journalists working in Syria are very much aware of. The actual executioner of Foley and Sotloff appears to be a British jihadi, but the leadership of the Islamic State certainly draws heavily on people who were radicalized in American prisons in Iraq. I mean, when you see the Islamic State executing journalists in orange jumpsuits, I don't think that should be a huge surprise. I mean, it's not much of a mystery where they get this. When you see reports that they were waterboarding their captives the same way the CIA waterboarded people in Guantanamo, or torturing them in the same ways that they were tortured in American prisons in Iraq, it's no surprise where this comes from. I mean, for people in Iraq, this is very fresh. This is very real. And Americans, I think, just have a luxury to not even think about it or forget about it. I've worked in Iraq for 10 years, and on this last trip, we drove what has become the front line between Kurdish-controlled northern Iraq and the Islamic State. We drove the border essentially twice. And from one end to the other, I've seen more refugees in worse conditions than I've ever seen at any point working in Iraq. And you just look at these kids running around in these refugee camps, and they're not going to go to school this year, or probably next year. And you just think about the way that disrupts lives and puts entire populations on the path to what we're seeing now. I mean, what has happened in north and western Iraq is very much related to the invasion and occupation, and you just see these cycles of violence continuing. And I mean, it's you do sometimes, you can't do much else but sit down and cry.